being agnostic. We talk a little bit about this, certainly, within the team, about how this can sort of dial back the temperature with politics, right? Everything's so heightened. Everything is so polarized right now.
Right.
You think, or maybe we can talk from your own personal experience, has trading given you a different perspective on politics? And do you think you're less reactive perhaps to some of the things that maybe you were before? I don't know if you were reactive before, but how does that fit into your own?
Yeah, when money is involved, it very quickly crystallizes your thinking, right? And it helps you weed out, not totally, but to an extent you probably can't do without that financial incentive, helps you weed out your biases and preconceptions and preferences. And if it doesn't, you quickly go broke, and the price signal coming from your bias is no longer on the site. So that's part of what is sort of good and pure and useful about a market mechanism, at least in its sort of ideal iteration. For me personally, it's hard to say. Certainly I've had humbling moments when I've lost money on something I've been very confident in. So I think everyone's probably had those stings. By the same token, you can get overconfident if you get lucky on something and feel that, gosh, I'm just a whiz at predicting whatever it is, the polling or the tweets or Senate primaries, whatever it might be. So it cuts both ways. Politics is obviously a very emotionally steeped topic, even one that's identity defining for a lot of people. So they simply can't fathom a world in which Hillary Clinton would lose, or in which Trump would be reelected, or in which he wouldn't be reelected. And so you see these prices at 50-50 and think, my God, that's so irrational. And yet it's so hard to divorce yourself from those feelings. By the same token, adding money to the equation, yes, it forces you to be more critical, hopefully, in your thinking. But money is also an emotionally triggering thing. And again, you can overreact or underreact to successes and failures. Think that one didn't go my way, I don't know what I'm doing, or that one did go my way, I'm brilliant, maybe just got lucky. So it cuts both ways. It definitely has an impact. And I think, by and large, though, at the end of the day, it likely improves the price signal. It likely improves the accuracy with which the average or relatively sophisticated forecaster can get in terms of their own thinking and their own forecasting. When they're forced to actually think about it, you can say, 50-50, that's obviously too low. That's obviously too high. Mm-hmm. But when you're asked to say, PredictIt basically says, oh, really want to bet? and when it comes down to it, maybe I'm not that, that confident after all. So I think ultimately it's a good force in terms of improving the civic engagement, improving people's own personal forecasting, their own critical thinking about their biases, and of course, in the price discovery, which at the end of the day is sort of the value we hope that emanates from the market. Is it throwing off useful forecasts, useful insights, even if it's not into the odds of an outcome, useful insights into what the real conventional wisdom is? Because you can watch an MSNBC panel and then a Fox News panel and say, okay, I'll sort of meet the midpoint. That's what the consensus is. But it's not. It's all at the end of the day still manufactured. If you look at the price signal on PredictIt, it might not be correct, but it should at least be a better encapsulation of what the conventional wisdom really does think the odds are. Of course, there are still biases. There are still, structural imperfections due to pricing and fee structures and things like that. But it still should have some unique value as an otherwise unavailable source of insight into what the market, what the public, the crowd really thinks of some political uncertainty.